Okay, here we are in game 3. We have Viper again in the blue to the top left side of the map. And this will be a Mayans mirror match. Game is tied 1-1 after Viper evened up the score with his Aztec Drush Tower Rush in the previous game. So now we'll have Mayans War. We have 2 war out here on the hill for Tim. Berries kind of forward, gold, somewhat in a safe location behind that oasis. This gold's kind of awkward. Won't be able to put a TC on it. Well, maybe here. Don't know if those 3 squares there will prohibit the placement of it. But have to get a mining camp there. This pond's kind of ruining the wood in the back. A bit of wood in the back by this pond. You're going to get 1 lumber camp here and a second over here. That mined wood does last longer, so it's not quite as bad as it would be for other civs. But another big hill out here. This will be he could wall from the cliff to that forest. So you know Tim will like to wall. And maybe wall up here and here. And then defend across the top of the hill. So yeah, we'll probably see Tim go for some pretty big walls like that. Meanwhile, the Viper has backstone. Nice in a Mayans work because you want to get up that castle, put up those plumed archers. It has a pretty nice woodline in the back. You get a lumber camp here, a second one over here. Keep those villagers nice and safe as they're chopping wood. Other than that, golds are pretty far forward and in a hilly area, so if Tim applies some forward pressure, could kill a lot of villagers here. Stone, second stone pretty vulnerable. Well, this is his main stone. It's pretty vulnerable at the top of that hill. Other than that, extra stone is near the Viper. Extra gold in the middle between the 2 players. And where's the other extra gold right now? Let's go to the up on my map. You set economic view. Let's see. Gold. Is this it? Yeah, this one down by Tim. Oh, how convenient. That's where the scouts are fighting. And let's see who's going to win this. Looks like maybe Tim? Hard to tell. They might have attacked at the same time. They're just going to fight it out. And Tim wins. 2 HP left, he'll be able to take those boys safely. Won't be able to steal with that, but if he does go for a Drush, Viper won't be able to scout it. Okay, he needs to get another sheep in position, but let's see. What has Viper scouted so far? And okay, looks like he knows that a boar is back here. And using his sheep, has he found his second boar? That was, where was that? It was over here somewhere. Oh, it's in the back. And yes, he has found that. So he has both of his boar, and looks like he has all of his sheep. So he will at least have all the food he needs to click up like normal. But again, boar is a bit late. We'll have a bit of idle time on those villagers. It's pretty unfortunate because that's, they're idle for like 3 or 4 seconds, but that's 3 or 4 times 6 villagers. So moving out now to the berries. Just following a standard build, we'll probably see him put up a barracks with those 4 on wood and eventually move to stone and look to get out plumed archers. Because in a Mayans war, you normally do want to be going for plumed archers. They have an attack bonus against infantry, so even though eagles do have a lot of pierced armor, plumes still do quite a bit of damage to them. And once you get a good mass of plumes, you can pretty much just shoot and run away from eagles, and you'll take them out pretty quickly. And yeah, Tim did go for the lumber camp down here, but needs to be careful with his villagers. Micro them a bit better. I don't know if Tim moved that or if it ran around by itself. Building the house out here on the hill. Let's see how many villagers he puts on berries. There's a nice little pocket where you can fit quite a few villagers. These villagers, unfortunately, not moving around on the lumber camp that well. They kind of stuck out onto this side. Viper's lumber camp's a lot more efficient. He has the villas evenly spread on both sides. And he's moving out now to get to his second board. And he's moving out now also to the front of his map. And he'll start walling off and probably look to put down a barracks if he hasn't done that yet. Tim will scout that, of course, as he's bringing in his boar. And pretty well timed as this one's about to run out. And won't have that idle time like Viper had on his first. And there you go, it's pretty nice. They brought it in a tiny bit later, but still only 30 food left. A bit more because he's the Mayans, but still pretty good. Looks like this villager will probably be building his barracks. And yep, so he will be going for that Drush. And next villager will probably see, yep, going for the gold to, yep, and Viper 2. Also, we'll probably see him get 10 gold. Maybe even this villager. No, he's building a house, so I'll have to send another villager. get that 10 gold, so we'll have the 60 gold he needs for that drush. These players, since they're Mayans and they start housed, of course they did loom as the first thing in the game instead of queuing up their villagers, so they have nice loomed villagers. He'll have the gold he needs for the drush, and he's adding a few more villagers to wood. Let's see if he takes care to micro these villagers. And we'll put you there, you go there. I like having the villager chop that tree. I think they get stuck less if they do that. Anyway, gold coming back, starting to build a farm, has his second militia done. That gold will be just in time to queue the third militia, and there we go. And looks like Viper is slightly ahead in villagers. Ooh, trying to pick off the scout, but the eagle is of course faster, it will get away. Nice move by the Viper, just not quite quick enough. And this drush will be weaker by the fact he doesn't have a scout. Tim still does, but it's only on 2 HP. And unless there's some really poor micro from the Viper, probably won't have too much of an effect. But he hasn't scouted Tim at all. But what he does see is that there's a pile of 3 gold here, and a pile of... well, he sees that's his own gold. Does he see both? No. So he sees... Oh, fight, that's just the eagle in the house. He sees that his own gold is over here, and that there's a pile of 3 gold here, so he probably has a pretty good guess that Tim is on this side of the map. And there's a dead wolf. We might see him... Nope, he's not going to do that, so Tim should see that dead wolf and see that the Viper is there. Yeah, sometimes you might see players put a palisade wall to get rid of the body. In the Forgotten Empires, you no longer see wolves in the Fog of War, but you can in AOC. And now Tim has the villagers there, so Viper has to get back. Will cause a tiny bit of idle time, but really not going to do much harm in the drush. So Viper going feudal much more quickly. We'll look to probably add in a couple archery ranges and put on some pressure in feudal. Meanwhile, Tim, building up more resources, might be going for the fast castle approach. Hasn't started walling yet though, so it could be dangerous. He does know that Viper also is slowed down because he's drushing, but doesn't quite know what his follow-up is. Well, we won't say he's up to feudal yet, unless he saw the score drop. But Tim up to feudal about 1 minute slower than the Viper. His Viper's just running his militia around. And ooh, not quite microing right by Tim. Yeah, it does win that fight though, so he will survive the drush with 1 militia alive. Could have done a bit better with the micro there, but 1 militia alive, still has a scout on 2 HP. And we'll see how their strategies are different right now. Sending 2 villagers forward from the Viper, and let's check what buildings he wants to put down. Looks like he wants to put down 2 ranges. Doesn't quite have the wood for that, but we'll put down 1 and then the other right after. And there we go, archery range coming out. Villager and double good axe immediately. And we'll see him not doing horse collar right away because he's going archers. So second game in this series, Viper has gone for archers, and Tim will of course see that with his militia. And oh, there is a hole between that barracks and that house. It is a really hard to see hole, but it is there. You always have to take the villagers and drag a line with your palisade walls just to check for those. Now archers immediately coming out. Or nope, starting with a skirmisher. Maybe he knows Tim will also be going archers as well, so I guess he might as well start with skirmishers. Only has 3 on gold as well. So putting up the house, as Tim is now up to feudal, and Tim's doing double that axe, so it looks like he's not going for a fast castle. He's just going to put down 2 ranges and stay feudal for a while as well. And we see Tim already getting set up with his walls across to the top of this hill, and he'll be putting immediately 2 ranges and a blacksmith. He was up later, so he had the resources to put down that blacksmith. Also, he took those deer, really good for the Mayans because of the extra food on the deer as well. This villager, unfortunately, has been on the wrong side of the berries for a long time. Maybe micro these gold villagers a bit more. Ooh, and all these stragglers he's chopping. Can Viper see that and lame those stragglers? He probably can't now because he lost a scout earlier. He's still scouting around the back of the base with that militia. Let's see what Tim sees. He sees pretty much everything of Viper's base. He sees both of his golds, his main gold, both of his stones, and where his wood line is. So Tim has a really great idea of how to play this because of his scouting. And now Tim adding in, not queuing things up evenly from his archery ranges, unfortunately, and might run into a problem because Viper has a pretty sizable army. Won't have fletching though, whereas Tim probably will do fletching really soon. Probably will have to run these villagers back towards the town center as he continues walling up, but don't think he'll be able to do too much damage. These rangers are positioned nicely on the hill, and bring the skirmishers out right now because he knows he needs to protect those villagers, and will even fight with the villagers because they do a pretty good job against skirmishers, especially when they don't have fletching. And see, Tim, no fletching yet, but fletching coming in for both players at the same time. Looks like Viper did also put up a blacksmith. Yep, blacksmith right here by his TC. And Viper will go back, can't really take the fight on the hill. Villagers will be finishing that deer. It's Tim starting to get out some skirmishes. Oop, and stopped moving his scout, and it died. Unfortunate. Could maybe put it in his TC to heal and then fight with it, but didn't. And let's see. Not going to be able to do much damage from the Viper. These archers need to move off of this house. Tim with the hill. We'll see. Viper has a larger army, but Tim just have the hill and the reinforcements. I don't think Viper will be able to move in. Those villagers, yeah, pull them back, put them in the town center, don't let them get hurt. Pull those skirmishers back, good, control your army, stay on top of this hill, just defend for now. You have, well, not fully walled, hasn't walled, oh, nope, you want for an even more aggressive wall. Ooh, took a downhill fight with a villager against the wolf. Wasn't really paying attention there. Doing a tiny bit more harassment with that militia, not really going to get much done. Archers trying to find a way in, but they're just going to find a wall. As war walls come across the top of the map for Tim, he's just going to have that one gap between his ranges. Viper's not going to be able to run through that. And yeah, Viper's not going to be able to do much with his army. And we'll look at his economy now. Yeah, pretty similar to Tim. Militia, right click and kill the militia, there we go. And if you look at their economy, similar, 9 on gold for the Viper, not 10, 9, between gold and stone for Tim. Just going to long distance mine that stone, not even bother building a mining camp there. Just walk the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 tiles over to that mining camp. And yeah, Viper's army, see, the players are still pretty even in military count. Tim's slightly behind. Tim knows he's walled, so he's just going to send his army around and try to do something to hit Viper. Viper sees that he can't wall this, so he's just going to put an outpost on this hill to keep track of Tim's army if it tries to come in here. And he does have Town Watch, so he has quite a bit of line of sight on that. Let's just, let me make sure about that. He should have Town, yep, does indeed have Town Watch for the extra line of sight on that outpost. And let's check and make sure he remembered horse collar this game. And he did, indeed, making up for that mistake he had in the first game. And we'll see where does Tim put his army and how does Viper keep track of it. He could see this dead wolf here if Tim kills it and doesn't palisade it in time. And 2 dead wolves that Tim will probably end up killing. Yep, there we go. And looks like Tim isn't going to try to hide the body with palisade, he'll just leave it there. And so Viper can see that, could know this army's here, but maybe he does already, because where are these villagers going? Trying to wall out here, but now he sees that army. That army will probably kill 1 villager, trying to run this way. At the very least, it buys time, bringing the army away from the rest of his economy. Now, he knows where the army is. He knows he needs to put up a watchtower on his wood line to keep it safe, because this is the only wood he has, and he needs to bring his army back. And if Tim isn't careful, Viper does have a much larger army. He could end up losing all of these units as that tower goes up and this army comes in from behind. I think this is a mistake by Viper to move this way. He really need to come back up the hill, which he's doing now, but that little movement there will cost him a lot of damage on Tim's army. But Tim is actually going to stand and fight. We'll pick off 1 villager, unfortunately, but we'll lose a lot of his army. And looks like he's just going to fight and let that die. No stepping back and forth by the Viper. There he is. He's taking 1 skirmisher and trying to run it. Thought he would try to run it back and forth to a core of arrows, but no, apparently not. Just running it around. Getting him from behind. But Tim is up to the Castle Age sooner, is doing the gold mining upgrade, and he lost that army, but right now he's completely safe. He has a bunch of archers at home. He will probably upgrade them to crossbowmen and try to send them around the other part of the map and try to sneak into Viper's base. He's walled, and unfortunately walling that Relicat side of his base. Could have made a shorter wall, like 1, 2, 3, 4 here, maybe a 5th here, just to prevent a tower hop, but could have used fewer wall pieces and gotten a further out wall. Now he's putting the houses, double layer houses on the side, so he wants to be really safe, even stone walling the gap between his archery ranges. So Tim is going to just show his walling strategy. This Viper isn't walled. Kind of surprised he hasn't tried to finish this wall off over here. He had started it, just a bit of wall there, over there, and around that pond, and then this side would be safer from attacks. Would make this use of crossbows useless. I guess Tim, he probably can palisade scan here and see that it's open and there's no walls. And Viper up to Castle Age, a bit behind Tim, about 30 seconds. Still pretty even. Has he's down in villagers too. I guess he might have lost a couple of villagers, maybe had a bit more idle time than Tim. Tim did go up later, so probably was a bit easier for him to keep his town center running. And we'll see. We'll keep an eye on what researches he does as soon as he hits Castle Age. I bet he's going to keep his archers and just kind of hide them over here until he gets his upgrades and then move them in. And as he sees that there's that stone there. The only problem for Tim is that he doesn't know where Viper's army is. Viper is keeping his army on that hill. Unless Tim is palisade scanning, he won't quite know where that is. But I guess this is a good location for Viper's army because he knows he's safe here. He wants to protect that gold and these farms, but it leaves that stone open. And these archers, yep, now he's splitting his army up. Looks like he wants to see if Tim comes in from that side, but Tim's nice and sneaky. He's back here, hiding behind that forest on that one tile next to the edge of the map. Upgrades coming in for Viper, and could he move his army over there? Will Viper notice that? I mean, he could see that there's something there if he tried to use a palisade, but looks like he's just going to stand his army on this hill, and Tim's probably going to get away with that. Yeah, interesting too that Viper is walling and not putting his army there to defend his walling villagers when he doesn't know where Tim's army is. But here he goes, moving out, trying to see what damage he can do with those archers, as Tim is just leaving his archers behind there, and looks like he isn't even making more archers from his ranges anyway, just putting down an extra town center and trying to boom. But he did have 3 TCs and a castle, so he's going to try and make plumed archers now, and he's going to just leave those crossbowmen where they are. But we'll have a few plumed archers, but these crossbowmen not going to do any damage. Even an extra layer of stone walls behind his house wall, just to keep everything safe. Stone walls over here, double, triple layer even of house walls here, and a castle here. That army's not going to do anything. Meanwhile, Viper trying to stonewall his map. Now, using this gold as part of the wall, probably could have been a bit more greedy, just wall here, here, and maybe here instead. Get that gold inside. But Tim has not overchopped. He could though, needs to be careful with that villager, and there we go. Now the crossbowmen are moving across the map. Tim forgot about them for a while, but now, we forgot about wheelbarrow too. That's not good, especially with the Mayans farming slower. He's gonna have a lot less food than he probably should. But looks like Viper noticed that really quickly. I guess he has ballistics too. Doing a lot of damage on those villagers, getting quite a few kills. Viper will have his plumes back to defend, but once the plumes are out, he really doesn't care about those crossbows. That villager walking back. Unfortunate movement by that villager. We'll even pick off a few of these plumes here. Viper doesn't really have the mass he needs to fight these crossbowmen yet. A really nice engagement by Tim, just sitting back and not doing anything. Another villager coming forward from Viper. Will she go down? Yep. That's another villager just so needlessly lost. Now, crossbowmen finally will get cleaned up. There's no hurt villagers, so I think this is pretty much cleaned up right now. Viper had to bring his army back. He invested so much in these units and hasn't really been able to do anything with it. Tim, meanwhile, doing the armor upgrades, and let's just check their upgrades real quick, because Viper's putting down a 4th town center. And let's see, Tim at the blacksmith has both the attack upgrades. We saw him doing the armor. Has all the eco upgrades he needs, and does not yet have ballistics. Has wheelbarrow but not handcart. And the Viper has same thing at the blacksmith. Hasn't done the 2nd armor yet. Doesn't have ballistics either, but has his eco upgrade. Doesn't have heavy plow yet. Heavy plow, you know, sometimes you don't do that in a Mayans war just because once you get to the Imperial Age and you do your upgrades, your plumed archers, rams, and trebuchets cost only wood and gold, so you don't need that many farms. And you normally see Mayans probably on a smaller number of villagers than other civs just because they can produce that army so cheaply and they don't need much food. Viper still does have the army advantage, but as more and more plumed archers come out onto the field, this army will be less and less of an advantage, as Tim did have his 3 town centers up a lot earlier than the Viper, so he does have a huge villager lead now, over 20 villagers, and still just he continues to add even more stone walls. He's putting a gate behind a 1-tile gap. And these archers ain't going to be able to do anything. They can sit there and attack the blacksmith, and that's about it. And they can't even do that because of the mangonel. Tim sees this and he's going to bring the mangonel over. Does Viper see the mangonel? Whether he did or didn't, not going to be able to get in here. Just a cliff. Again, losing his scout in the early game. He wasn't able to scout this cliff, so doesn't really know where to send his archers. And now, great spot for an engagement here by Tim. If he saw those archers, he outnumbered them, and with the armor could take that engagement. And Viper needs to be careful sending small groups of archers across the map like this. Just forward, villager. But yeah, if Tim's army finds one of these groups of plumes, he can easily pick them off. So we get on top of the villager, take him out. We'll start doing some damage on those houses. Not going to do that much. We'll put a siege workshop and try to pressure this area of the map. Well, we'll see how Tim... Yeah, he has enough stone for a second castle, so... as a university, if he puts a castle right in this area, I was going to say place it right where the university is, but yeah, castle right in this area, and Tim's not going to be able to get through that wall. And up to the Imperial Age first is Tim doing handcart after he clicks up, just so he can click up a bit sooner. And we'll see Viper... Viper really isn't close to the Imperial Age at all. Investing as a much larger army, really trying to invest inside in this Castle Age push. But doesn't look like it's going to pay off for him. These walls from Tim just too strong. Viper doesn't know what to do, and yeah, Tim has enough wood with the mine wood lasting longer if he can just stay inside these walls. And we'll have to see another castle from him. I mean, maybe he wants to put a castle from here so that Viper won't be able to break this, since he already knows he's pretty safe here with all of his buildings. But mangonel going forward, not going to be in position to hit the rams from behind the walls, but still, that's 2700 HP that the rams have to break through before they can get inside. And we'll see, how does he react to this? Deciding to put the castle forward, so that's a pretty good decision too. Secure this stone, secure this gold, and bringing his army over. House is down, but not attacking the wall. Let's see, just gotta have a mangonel coming in with siege workshop. He does. And third castle for Tim right in this location, right next to the university. Maybe he wants to try putting like a house here and a piece of wall here just to keep units from running around. But yeah, with the mangonel behind those rams and an extra layer of walls coming up, 2 mangonels even, don't think Viper's going to break through. Just going to lose a lot of rams for 1 house. And forcing, 80, or no, just 20 stone, these 5 stone each stone walls. And Tim, we look at the score, up to Imperial Age first. Still, despite clicking up to the Imperial Age, ahead in villagers, and he's in a pretty strong position right now. If we look at his plumed archers, has more plumes than Viper, and as we know, plumes are faster than these crossbowmen and skirmishers. And there we go from Viper. GG, well walled. He sees Tim get up to the Imperial Age and decides he can't fight that. Team colors switched. Or did they? Yeah, the team colors switched. Let me fix that. There we go. I guess when the game ends, it puts the team colors on whichever player you're viewing. Okay, cool. So, yeah, looks like that's it. Walls are too much for the Viper. Tim takes a 2-1 lead. Next game will be a Spanish mirror match and Mongol mirror in game 5 after that, if necessary. We'll see pretty close KD, largest army for the Viper, but no, economy, Tim was ahead in pretty much everything, even in wood, and just got to the Imperial Age faster. Viper invested in that army and wasn't able to do anything with it. We see here Tim lost his Feudal Age army, and here Viper had a larger army, put more resources into it, whereas Tim, because he was safe behind those walls, didn't need to make army. It just hang back, wait, make plumes from that castle, not worry about being attacked, and just win the game from there. So GG, well walled, and we'll do game 4 next.